Hello, 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 hello. Happy New Year for some. You may be watching this when it's not a new year, and Happy New You, whatever day you're watching this. My name is Martha Creek, marthacreek.com to contact me. It is my highest honor and privilege to share teachings that are meaningful to me and to uplift you in your devotional practices and activate starting today. And I think with this message and this talk, a new potential, a divine power that we know in certainty is a part of us. An eight inherent divine right, whatever word you would call it, is here and now for us. And even though we're tempted sometimes to focus on the worry, the doubt, the concerns with what could happen, what's going to become in 2024, what's going to become in our future, what's going to be. It's our human tendencies to have worry, doubt, concerns about it. And it's also our divine calling to say, I'm not going to worry as much about what's going to grow as I am to get intentional about what I'm planting. So I'm going to grow from what I am planting. We've heard it as I'm going to reap what I sow. So I'm going to grow what I sow. I'm going to plant what I want to see become and being and becoming that. And I'm taking a journey this year, an immersion that includes some of my devotional spiritual practices, dusting off some I've used in the past, and hopefully you can too and will be inspired to do so. I'll be referencing the Presence and Potential book, Martha Creek, and this is available on Amazon. And I've gifted it now several hundred times to people to get these teachings out into the world. So if you'll pay it forward by gifting it to either if you're not using your copy, to send it forward in the world or to encourage other people to do it. I'm also going to, if you want to lead a book study or a book group, and you'll get the people in your group to do this book, I'll come on and do a question and answers or meet the author or just explore ideas from the book. If you'll let me know if you want to do that, I'll be happy to support you in doing that too, to get these teachings out into the world. And I'll refer to it a little bit more. I'm also back into my daily devotionals, including poetry, which has been meaningful to me. And this was the one that I used. My birthday's coming up also next month. And I think about this one and how I relate to it, particularly people in our age group. And then as I hear myself say it, I thought it's not just our age group. I've got little young girls that were around me the last few months, 8, 9, 10 years old, 12, 13, 14. And oh my goodness, um, they already are under the spell of what we're supposed to look like and better look like, and some worry about that. So there's plenty of prayer for me and you and everybody in the world to loosen up some of this um, concern about our hair and eyes and lines around our eyes and other things, and to get back and to what is eternal and infinite in us. So here's the poem, and this is by somebody named Donna Ashworth. There's a woman in my mirror, and she looks a lot like me, though there's lines around her eyes, and her hair is wild and free. She is plumper than myself, and she is definitely gray. Did I miss the day this happened? Has she always been this way? And this woman in the mirror has an air of something calm, like a tide that's going out and a beach that's soft and warm. She has seen the world in color. She has learned to know the truth. There's a wisdom in her wrinkles. There's a knowledge brought from youth. And she knows to move more freely, as though released from earthly bonds. Is she made of something lighter? Perhaps the weight she left behind. Like the press of expectations and the need to yield and bend. I like this woman in the mirror. She's fast becoming my best friend. So the same goes for he instead of she. The same goes for we. The same goes at any age group. So I hope those words will inspire you to look at the man, the woman in the mirror, and look for and plant and cultivate that air of something calm, like a tide that's going out. Imaginations of a beach that's soft and warm, how it feels to be there, whatever your beach is, the mountains, the woods, the trees, to spend time there, to learn, to know the truth, to further learn the truth, to further know the truth, to count the wisdom instead of the wrinkles, the wisdom in the wrinkles, and the knowledge that we brought forth, including the knowledge brought forth from our youth. And plant seeds that leave us feeling more free, free to make better choices, free to make empowered choices, free to be and become the greatest iteration of ourselves. And to take responsibility to release us from our own burdens, the burdening of the past, the burdening of the traumas, the losses, the griefs, to relieve us from that, to become lighter and lighter, and to do so on purpose, to do so with intention, and to do so with sane, sensible actions that move us in the direction of those goals. And then regardless of whatever we weigh, regardless of what we weigh, we're lighter and lighter and lighter. And to let go of the press, the demand of expectations to get done what can't be done, to get done the amount of what we think we ought to get done or should get done, to let go of the weight of those false, burdensome expectations, and to plant seeds that encourage us to yield, to surrender, to cause and create with all the power, potential, and presence possible, and to surrender to what is not ours to do, can't be done, can't be controlled by us, and to become better and better friendly, better and better best friends with whoever is in the mirror. And in my mirror work, for example, I think I've broken the habit of looking at the wrinkles and counting them and looking at what's looking at me through those eyes that are not mine. So I encourage you to spend a minute or two every day looking in your mirror and not looking at the wild hair and the wrinkles, but to look at what is looking at you, what is looking through your eyes at you, and to really experience the divine presence, innate, inherent, eternal, and infinite in you, as we know in certainty is true, and to get more and more than a glimpse of that, but more and more of a self-realization of that, and that our higher self then is in the driver's seat for whatever we're going to cause and create today. So whatever seeds we're planting today is going to be purposeful for us to grow something we want to see more of in the future. And when worry comes in, to accept that worry is a part of our divine nature, also that worry is a part of our human experience, and it's included in this, and it doesn't have to run the show. And worry takes a little bit of a bad rap, I think, because it's like, oh, I heard so many people at the burning bowl say they want to get rid of worry, get rid of worry, get rid of worry. And it's like, me too. Less worry. And I've understood now psychologically, as I've studied this and looked at the research over this for the years, worry actually takes a bad rap because it's worry that also activates a part of our brain that says, what can I do about this situation? So when I'm worried something's going to happen, a part of the brain that's in a higher consciousness is activated by that worry if we use it that intentionally to say, what can I do in this matter? What can I do in this situation? What would be sane, sensible response to the situation I'm in, to the circumstances I'm in? What can I do something about? So when worry comes in, how about saying, okay, I'm going to use worry like a activator to say it's going to move me up into my highest thinking, into a higher consciousness to say, what can I do in this situation instead of, oh my, ain't it awful, ain't it awful? And it's very tempting to fall into awfulizing, ain't it awful, 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 instead of what could I do here? What would be sane, sensible action here? And to be able to learn and to take action based on what we want to see more of. What do I want to reap from this? So I'm going to sow in accordance to that. Sow and surrender, plant and see, plant and plant and plant. So in the chapters, this includes how to do some of this. These are spiritual practices. Each of the chapters in this little book is its own spiritual practice. So there's 26 of them, and I've added 4 over the year, so I'm up to 30. And sometimes I have to get so specific that I use one a day. Like, what am I going to do today? So today includes, I'm going to define myself. What am I going to be today? How am I going to be in this interaction today, regardless of how they're being, regardless of what attitude they have, regardless of how much eye rolling they're doing, regardless of how much disappointment they have, fear, doubt, worry, whatever. How am I going to be in this situation? And to build it such that I can actually stay connected to them. So even if I'm not able to, quote, do something about it, to break some of my habits of fixing, of controlling, and of wanting a life for others that they actually don't want for themselves. And so many of my teachers have tried to help me with this over the years. Like, Martha, how long are you going to work harder on someone else's life than they're working on their life? It's a very good question. And these devotional practices today, that I intend not to do that. I intend to focus on the one life that I actually have, my life, the care of my own soul, and what I can do in the interactions that I have today, including with family, friends, colleagues, neighbors, whoever it is, that I can be and express with them, be and express through my highest self, how I want to be with them. And that'll be a full-time job today. Another idea is to, in that poem, one of the lines that was to recognize my own calm and how I want to be calm with other people, especially when they can't be calm. And I was listening to some comedy lately, and one of the men in the comedy show said he was drunk and in a bar, and he was getting thrown out of the bar. And some part of his mind knew this is going to be problematic, and he couldn't control himself. He couldn't regulate himself. And he said, the police officer, he ended up getting arrested, thrown out of the bar, and then arrested outside on the sidewalk from the bar. And he said, I heard him say, you have the right to remain silent. And he said, I had the right to do that, but I didn't have the ability to do that. And I think about how I don't drink, and I think about how drunk I am sometimes when I know the best thing I could do here is to stay silent. So some part, my higher self is encouraging me to stay silent. I have the right to remain silent, and I don't have the ability to do it at times. And it's very consequential when I can't. I was also thinking about the times that in New Year's Eve, I was actually in Times Square for the ball drop. And I didn't go there for that. I went there to be there during that time. And the grace of that trip, this has been 25 years ago. And we ended up, me and two other friends went who had never been. This was a bucket list idea for one of them. And one of my bucket list is to fulfill other people's bucket list. So off we go to New York City to fulfill her bucket list check and me making it possible. And I was interested in it, of course, and wanted to go and experience that too. And we got a room at the Waldorf Astoria, the Waldorf Astoria Hotel on New Year's Eve in New York City without any special effort, without any calling in friends or anything like that. Just booked a hotel, even on a very nominal budget, limited back then. And stayed up there, went to two or three plays, and wasn't going to get into this crowd madness at this ball dropping or anything. That wasn't a part of our itinerary. And we left this play and walked out of the play. And this was absolutely without awareness, without planning, without consciousness. And when we walked out of the exit of that play, it was a few minutes before midnight. And we were right there in the crowd at the ball drop in Times Square and got to see all of that without any planning to do so. So these are some of the seeds I'm planting for this year, that I'm going to stay open to miracles, to ease, to grace, to mercy, and ease. So I'm going to plant, I'm going to cultivate, I'm going to clear the soil, I'm going to remove rocks and boulders, I'm going to provide nutrients for whatever I want to grow, and I'm going to do some deep surrendering to the will and the way of it. Thy will be done, not Martha's will. Doggone it. Thy will, the highest will, be done, and to live and more aligned to that than ever before. So I'm wondering how you might do that or will do that, if you're inspired to take some different action, like something else. I'm going to do something else, something different than I've been doing. One of the practices is to keep a clear distinction between facts and feelings. This is a devotion for me, and I couldn't do what I do, listening with people and holding space for them, for their own midwifing of their highest potential, and them undoing and crawling out of some of the skins they have to crawl out of in sessions, and listening to the losses and what they've experienced. So for me to keep a clear distinction between facts and feelings is vital for me to fulfill the ministry and the calling that I have, which is to serve those who serve, and to be divine presence, to be calmer when they can't be, and to hold a space for them to go wherever they need to go to undo what has been done to them, and how they can come out of this lighter, calmer, freer, and more liberated. So I got a kick out of this recently, this particular one, as I'm practicing this myself. And some of the young girls that was around me was telling me how mean their grandma had been to them. She's mean. She was mean to us. And I said, well, one of my practices is to make sure that I'm not interpreting somebody's action. So, for example, what actually happened with your grandma? And they said, we wanted to play in our makeup and she wouldn't let us. And I said, well, what time was it? And they said about 10:30 p.m. I said, well, she was likely wanting to go to bed and to have you to go to bed instead of start a makeup project. She was just mean. She was mean. She was mean to us. And I said, well, what's actually happened, I think, is she didn't give you what you wanted. So you wanted to play in makeup. She didn't want you playing in makeup at 10:30, and you didn't get what you want, and you interpreted it as she was being mean to you. Is that possible, that that's what happened? So she wasn't actually mean, but she said no, and you didn't like her saying no. So they thought about it a little bit, and still that, yeah, but she's just mean. She was mean. So I planted my seeds, did my devotional, and looked at how I'm interpreting what they interpreted, which is a slippery slope for me, and went back to my own sense of what can I do about this situation. And none of this is really any of my business. Planting seeds, moving empowered teachings out into the world. That's my business. And then days later, one of them said, Granny was mean to us. And the other one said, 8 and 9 years old, the other one said, she wasn't actually mean. She does a lot for us. But she said no to us asking her for something. That's actually what happened. So who knows what seeds are going to grow and when? My job is to plant, cultivate, and care for the seeds that I know to be the truth. Professing our own values, not demanding that others expect, not demanding or expecting others to think, feel, and act like we do. Sound easy? They should have done this. They should have done that. They'd be better off if they did that. Accepting differences. Living by our own goals. Spiritual practice. Devotion. Presence. Power. Potential. It is yours. It is mine. Let's go. Use it accordingly. All my blessings to you. Get in touch with me directly, marthacreek.com, if I can support you in any way.